Thanks for dealing with us with some interesting technical things. But I would love for you to introduce yourselves and where you are from.
I'm Rose.
And I'm Tori, and we are the co-owners of Awakening Boutique in Denver.
Excellent. My favorite place. And we are talking about sex toys today and talking about their possible improvements for intimacy, whether that is intimacy with yourself or with others. So I know a lot of people want to know, if they come into your store and they say, okay, I'm looking for a sex toy, what is your first order of business?
Since sex toys can incorporate so many different things, definitely the first thing would be to find out what they mean by sex toy. So 99% of the time in our store, that means vibrator. But obviously there's a lot of options. They could be looking for anal toys. They could be looking for handcuffs. They could be looking for like so many things, even lube. So usually that's the first place to start is, when they come in, they have an idea of what they want to use it for and what they want. And so just kind of like getting them to vocalize that and asking them some questions about like what body part they're hoping to use it on, etc.
Yeah. And then
Awesome.
I think we both have kind of a choose your own adventure list that we go through with each person, kind of depending on what they first kind of communicate with us, as we can kind of lead them into the right sort of terminology and communication with us to figure out like the best product for them.
Yeah, awesome. So when I am recommending that people come get vibrators, a lot of the time I am asking them to use it along the bottom part of their vaginal opening, where there's some erectile tissue that often doesn't have time or get enough attention to fill with blood. And also it can help to relax some of those muscles. So I typically suggest that people get like a bullet vibrator. Do you have a bullet vibrator that you often recommend?
Yeah, we have a few. And like another important part of the conversation is always kind of price point. So once we figure out that they want a vibrator and they want it for this, and so that probably means bullet vibrator, and then we'll kind of ask like, okay, well, we have some bullet vibrators that start at $30, and then we have some that go all the way up to $80. So there's just like figuring out what they're hoping to spend and kind of explaining the differences to them about this one is 30, so it's going to be a little less powerful. This one is hard plastic. This one is silicone, etc.
Yeah. So what makes the difference between like the $30 and the $80?
Well, it's a number of things. The $80 one that we carry, at least is by the company We-Vibe. And it's kind of well known in the industry for being the most powerful and most versatile bullet on the market. It's made from like a body safe ABS plastic, which makes it really versatile with other toys too. So a lot of like silicone dildos will have like a hollow like area to put a bullet, and then that one's really compatible with it because of it being hard plastic rather than silicone. Also works really nicely with harnesses that have little like vibrator pockets to it too. So the versatility and like the sheer power of it is really great. It has a good warranty on it because it comes from this great company. It's probably just going to have a longer lifespan in general for being an $80 toy. And then the $30 toy is a new one that we have from Dame Products, which is another company we really love. Still really body safe, still rechargeable. It just probably won't last quite as long. It's not quite as powerful. It doesn't have as many different combinations. So that $30 one is usually like a great toy for someone who's never bought a vibrator before, or is just looking for something really small, really portable. It's tiny. That's a great option to start with, and then figure out what you like about it and what you want to expand upon for an upgrade toy. But then if you're like, I love bullet toys, the $80 one is going to be better.
Yeah, sure. And bullets are super versatile, right? So I think I am typically asking people to use it at the bottom, but they can also use it at their clitoris, right? By themselves or with a partner. Do you often recommend that for some of the people that y'all see?
Using bullets with a partner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Bullets are not like, when somebody asks for a partner vibrator, bullets are not usually what I gravitate towards, just because they're super like pinpoint stimulation. And sometimes when somebody else is using it on you, that's not really what you want, because pinpoint stimulation can be really intense and the other person obviously can't feel it. So that makes it tricky. And like in terms of being insertable, bullets aren't necessarily great if you want to like fully insert anything. They're not great if you're like looking for something with a lot of penetration. So it just kind of like, for couple toys, we have a whole ton of them. But bullets are usually one that I recommend more for solo play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have plenty of couples that will buy it as like their very first, just because they want an intro to try it out with something that's not intimidating, not expensive, which is completely great. Like that's a great place to start no matter what. But yeah, and also like if it's for during sex and there's two bodies kind of mashed together, like bullets are kind of small and hard to grasp and like kind of can be hard against the pelvic bones. So there's definitely better options, but like I love a bullet as a starter toy for sure.
So if people are looking for a toy that they can use with their partner, that their partner would use on them, what would your recommendation be for that?
Whenever somebody asks me for a partner vibrator, I have kind of like a series of questions that I ask. The first one would be if they want one that's internal and external. So we buy products that have like an internal piece and also a clitoral external piece that can be worn during penetrative sex in kind of a hands-free way. Or if they want one that's just kind of an external toy that they can use during sex, like during penetration, or can just be used during foreplay, then I usually recommend either the Palm by Dame or the Point by LaWand. They're both like kind of round, cute, little like jelly bean looking toys that you can just hold in your hand. So they're easy to like just put on somewhere and hold. They don't get in the way. The Palm is like a little more gentle and squishy, and the Point is definitely like a little more powerful and heavy.
We should have brought a little lineup.
I know, we should have some just right now. So.
I mean, don't act like we don't.
That's true.
Yeah, I totally agree. I usually ask like, and sometimes, like people will offer up if they're in heterosexual relationships, if they're in homosexual relationships, or, somewhere in between or beyond.
Combination of all
of it, which is great. Like, I also want to say, like, we won't usually ask people what their genitals are. Like, that's just not a great thing to ask. So I would say one, like, good suggestion for folks that are, like, intimidated or maybe shy about talking, like, please don't be shy about like telling your friendly sex store clerk like what genitals maybe you have or your partner has, or like what the logistics are, because like we've heard it all. There's no judgment. So giving us that, because we're not going to ask it.
Yeah, we're not going to ask you if you have a clitoris.
Yeah.
We're just going to say, okay, this is a clitoral vibrator, Yeah. So it's helpful if you say, I'm looking for clitoral stimulation. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't feel like icky about using clinical terms. We've heard all of it. You can use whatever term you like, but yeah, that's a good place to start with us so we can help you better of like knowing what genitals we're trying to help stimulate. But yeah, I usually say for first time partner toys, my go-tos are the Dame Fin or the Dame Palm. The Palm is like a little squishy palm shaped one. And then the Fin is one that fits on the fingers. And that's a really good one I found too for heterosexual couples, that where the woman is buying it and she's a little bit like nervous about her man like feeling threatened or uncomfortable with using a sex toy, because it's basically a bullet toy that is like connected to a finger harness, but it's like a little bit more spread out than a bullet. And so you get pinpointed thing, but you can have him wear it and use it on you to start, so he can kind of ease into it of being like, oh, well, I'm still the one that's giving the pleasure. I'm not feeling so intimidated by like the concept of a sex toy now. Like it's not replacing me. It's just adding more fun to the dynamic we already have going.
My partner
That is awesome.
says that straight men should look at sex toys as teammates instead of competition.
Preach, 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 preach. I love that so much. Yeah, I do hear that a lot, that I have actually spoken to partners on the phone that are like, well, I thought that vibrators for people whose husbands didn't live with them, for people whose husbands traveled, let alone like why you had to have a husband. I'm not really sure. But so I think that is really great advice and can really get, everyone involved and make sure everyone feels like they have a job. So thank you so much for that. So for people who are maybe having just pain anywhere in their pelvic region, so anywhere in their vulva, vaginismus, anything like that, are there toys and things that they might be able to use that have nothing to do with that area?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, the body has a lot of erogenous zones. So there's toys that you can use to stimulate nipples. There's toys, like obviously a whole range of anal toys, which if you're really looking for penetration, but you have really painful vaginal penetration, then that is a great place to start. We have a ton of beginner stuff. I know that anal is like really scary to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. There's a ton of educational resources out there about it. And we don't think it's gross or weird, I promise. People come in and are really embarrassed to ask me about butt plugs. And I'm like, trust me, that is out of everything I've talked about today, that is not.
So great. So what is a good beginner butt plug, do you think?
I would say like we have two from Tantus. Tantus is a really great brand. They're small and independent, and they're known for having really high quality silicone, which we love. And they're not high price points at all, which is lovely. So we have two from them. One's called the Little Flirt and one's called the Perfect Plug. They're pretty much the same width and everything, just a slightly different shape to it. One has a little bit more texture. One's just like a little bit more of a like flare to it. They're basically the size of like a middle finger. But it has like a little flare, what we call it, a flange on the base. And that's the biggest thing with anal play is like you have to make sure that the toy has a flange because your anal sphincter is going to like pull things into it rather than the vagina, which can more like push things out of it. So that's the biggest, like, I would say there's two big rules for anal play would be make sure it has a flange so it cannot be sucked into the rectum, and also use a lot of lube. Like I talk to a lot of women who are like, oh, my boyfriend wants to have anal sex. I'm going to do it for his birthday. And I'm always like, but are you guys going to work up to that? She's like, what do you mean? I'm just going to surprise him. I'm like, no, you're going to hate it. Like you're going to be so upset that you decided to do this and you're never going to want to do it again. So I was like, you have to like think about using plugs. You have to warm up with fingers. You need to be using lube. Like there's a whole process to working up to penis in butt, like anal. Like if the thought of like even having like two fingers or a butt plug is intimidating to you, do not go straight into anal sex. Like you need to work up to that for sure.
And we do also have like one thing that we've been telling a lot of since we got it is this whole anal training kit from B-Vibe, which is a company whose whole mission is to make anal sex and anal play like less intimidating for women especially. And so they came up with this kit that has like graduated sizes of plugs. Some are weighted, some are vibrating, so you can kind of feel all the different sensations. And then it comes with like a booklet and internet resources.
Yeah, and there comes the lube launcher and an anal douche bulb as well.
Yeah,
for if you're worried about cleanliness.
What is a lube launcher?
It's a little scary looking, actually. It kind of looks like a plastic syringe without a pointy end. And it's very helpful, especially if you're going to have like deep anal penetration, because it launches, which is also a scary word. I would say it gently places the lube further in than if you just applied lube to whatever you were going to put in your anus.
I think the concept behind it would be that because, the anus is not like the vagina that makes its own secretions, you have to rely on lubricant to make it comfortable. So getting the lube further in is going to prolong the lube experience too. So then you've got it kind of outside and inside, and you're covered on all bases rather than being worried about having to like constantly like take a plug out, put more lube on, put it back in. Like it just helps make the experience a little bit more comfortable.
So do you need a special type of lube, or does regular old KY work? What do you guys think?
Don't use KY. In general, don't use it. It has terrible ingredients. You can
Yeah, we are really, like, one thing we're super picky about is which lubes we carry. A lot of sex shops, you'll go in and we call it the wall of lube. That's like that huge giant display with like 100 different lubricants that you can choose from, all with like different flashy packaging. And we do not have that because you really only need a few different types. And a lot of the ones that you can get like KY have toxic ingredients. Some of them have formaldehyde in them. A lot of them have glycerin in them. That's just really unhealthy for you to absorb into one of the most absorbent parts of your body, which is the anus and the vagina. So we have a selection of water-based lubes that we love. Those are silicone toys. We have one silicone-based lube that we really love, which is great for long-lasting and good for penetration of any kind. And then we have like a couple oil-based and aloe-based that are all like natural, glycerin-free, non-toxic.
Yeah, I would say for like silicone plugs, like if people are just starting to dabble with plug play, like silicone toys should not be used with silicone lubes because they actually bind together. That's like one of the only like lube rules. There's like 2 lube rules, and one is do not use your silicone lube with your silicone toys, and do not use your oil silicone with your latex barriers like condoms and dental dams, because that's actually broken down more. But so for using silicone plugs, we usually suggest something like Liquid Sassy, which is a water-based, so that's universal. You can use it with whatever, it's completely safe. And it's just thicker. It was designed as an anal lubricant, so it doesn't absorb quite as quickly, because that's usually the biggest complaint on water-based lubes, is that it absorbs too quickly. So this Liquid Sassy is a great place to start, especially with plugs. Or you can use an oil-based one. We have a really great coconut oil one called Woo that we love. That's great for everything but condoms and barriers. And then if you're moving into like anal sex, so you're not using silicone toys, most people's favorite is going to be silicone lube because it's long lasting. You don't have to reapply. Yeah, if you talk to any gay men, they're going to tell you silicone lube. Too. Like I've lived with several gay men, and the silicone lube is like a cult favorite for any kind of anal play.
That's just the best what is the word, like promotion that there could be, really, right?
Yeah.
Like the best people to speak about it.
That's
experts in the field
that you're looking for.
Yes.
If people are looking for lubricants that don't come, I definitely have some clients who are looking for lubricants that don't come in pink girly bottles. Do you have any recommendations? Is that a thing?
Yeah, actually, only one of our lubes comes in a pink girly bottle, which is the one we just talked about. It's Liquid Sassy. But I don't think any of our packaging for our lube is especially gendered. That's kind of another thing that we look out for a lot, because I personally really dislike pink. And when we opened the store, I was like, I don't want an entire store of pink vibrators and pink lube bottles. So we very purposely avoid that, actually. And we have a lot of options if you're looking for like a non-gendered bottle.
Yeah, we just got a new brand too. That's a cool, very small company out of British Columbia called Sutil, and that one has a cult following too. And they're all water-based, but they're thicker. We carry one that is specifically a water-based anal lubricant. It comes in like a very nondescript gray bottle.
I also, when I opened my office, purposefully avoided all things pink, which is pretty much unheard of in pelvic health, or what is still very commonly called women's health. So it was like when I was designing my website, no pink anywhere in the office. I did end up some of the pictures of pelvises have a slight pink background, but it's a very small amount in a pretty decent sized office. So I feel you on that.
Yeah, there's for some reason every vibrator company only makes vibrators for so long in pink and purple. Like even now when we are purposely hunting down vibrators that are not pink or purple, the only option besides that a lot of times is teal. So if you come in our store, you will find a lot of teal vibrators because that's like the only other option.
Well, and no shame to people who like the pink and purple.
Yes.
We get plenty of people that want the pink and purple vibrators, but we try to have a color for everyone.
Do you have any other recommendations for maybe toys or anything else y'all stock in your store that might be beneficial to couples?
Yeah. So many things. One thing that I think both of us sell a lot of when we get couples, and this is another thing that's awesome because it's not gendered and it doesn't matter what your genitalia is. So that doesn't even have to be a question. But stuff like cuffs and blindfolds and sensory play is really great with couples. It's obviously something that is a little tough to do on yourself. I suppose you could, no judgment, but you can get, like, we have some silicone cuffs that are $14. We have blindfolds that are really affordable. So you could get like some massage oil, a pair of cuffs, and a blindfold for $30 and, have a really fun, great night with your partner.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually always will suggest, if they're not in the market for a toy, I usually go towards sensation play or sensuality play. So one of the things that I suggest a lot to couples that are like, we're not really ready for a toy. We want to work up to it. I usually suggest the coconut love oil that we have because it's so versatile. So again, it's not recommended for use with condoms or dental dams, but it is a great massage oil. It's great for oral sex. It's great for penetrative sex. It's just so versatile. It tastes really nice. It's infused with an organic stevia and vanilla extract. So it tastes like a really natural vanilla frosting without the worry of getting a yeast infection because it's not sugary. It's not a gross syrupy lube. It's just a coconut oil that has a little bit of extra oomph for some other stuff. And so I always tell them, I'm listen, if you don't do that many massages, maybe use it one night for a massage, but then try it. I had one gal that was I don't know what to get my husband for Christmas. And I was I was showing it to her. She's like, oh, this is perfect. All he wants for any holiday is blowjobs. And I was and this will make it more fun for you. A lot of my gals that don't love giving blowjobs, they have a small mouth or it's uncomfortable or they're just not loving it. Having something that tastes good and makes it easier to incorporate the hands and makes it a little bit less frictiony, really is helpful. And so I recommend that one a ton. That's one of our best selling just products in general. And then exactly what Rose said, intro kink and bondage. And if people are feeling a little vanilla, I just tell them, I'm it's sensation play. You don't have to feel like you're part of the BDSM community. Yeah. A lot of people are very nervous about those terms. And so I'm all it is sensation play. When Cosmo told you to tie a tie around his eyes, you didn't think that was BDSM. It's not. It is what you want it to be. You don't have to use any terms that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that is such a great point because I definitely see lots of people just like the one what their partner is going to say about it. That if you are able to have some of those more challenging conversations, that in and of itself can kind of increase the intimacy of a situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even we have they seem silly, but little games and cards and stuff. We have this one that we both were just talking about before this. That's a naughty truth or dare, and it's also not gendered and not super genital specific, but it's just kind of a fun, naughty truth or dare that you can play with your partner that helps you like introduce those topics or like introduce new things without it being a like weird sit down across the dinner table and, you know, tell your partner that you want to get spanked over pasta. You know, like you can make it
spank me over the pasta.
You can make it like a game. Yeah. You can make it like there's a lot of ways to comfortably introduce stuff like that without having like some sort of weird sit down tense conversation. Yeah. Or just doing it in the bedroom, which I do not recommend at all.
Everyone's already feeling vulnerable when they're naked and in bed.
Yeah. Talk about it first.
Yeah.
Y'all, I just love this so much. So it's full of so many great tidbits, and I love that you talk about this all the time. Can you speak a little bit more about body safety? Like, what should people look out for or make sure to avoid?
Yeah, so I would say first and foremost, this is like not even a thing to be like, you have to buy it from me. Do not buy your sex toys on Amazon. Like, please don't do it. There's not a very good vetting process. Like we mentioned before, there's like not an FDA approval for sex toys. And so on Amazon, you don't know what you're getting. Like it honestly could have been a return that was like repackaged. It could have been, there's a lot of brands that we sign a contract saying we will not sell online or we will not sell on Amazon or third-party websites. And if I see those brands on Amazon, I know that it's fake or it's illegal. So be very just mindful of like not buying your sex toys from Amazon. It's just like, sometimes it's fine, other times it's not at all. So, and why it could be bad, besides it being like a used toy that's been repackaged, is the materials that are put in it. So the big one is phthalates. Hard, weird word to say, but that's the main one. Like, and in general, like they exist a lot of places. Like the place that they exist the most is in receipts and carbon copy paper. Get rid of that stuff. Like it's not good for you. But it's also something that's found in like different kinds of plastics and silicone fillers. So a lot of cheap sex toys will have those in it, and it's, again, you don't want to put those in any mucous membranes. That's a big part of it. And then just anything that's just like not constructed well, that had like moving pieces, like it's just, you have to be like very careful. So that's mostly about like silicone materials and silicone fillers. So we only stock toys that are medical grade or like super high, like body safe grade. Or if you're using a plastic's okay. Just make sure it's an ABS plastic. It's an acronym for the like medical grade of plastic that's suitable to be put into the body.
Yeah, the big worry with all of this is that cheaper plastics or silicones with a lot of fillers, or the one that I see the most commonly is like that kind of like jelly silicone. Yeah. So you see those like really cheap sex toys that have that kind of like clear gel type silicone on them. Like probably all of our first sex toys were like those weird rabbits that were that material or whatever.
Yeah, 100% had one of the weird jelly ones that I purchased at Beach Week my senior year of high school, right?
Yes, exactly.
Most of us have been there.
That type of plastic or that type of silicone, it degrades, especially with heat or with excessive friction. Mm-hmm. Or hopefully things.
So you mean like what you're using the sex toy for?
Like hopefully that's what's happening when you're using the sex toy. And you really don't want those chemical particles getting into your bloodstream through mucous membranes, like the vagina, or through the anus.
Yeah, I mean, we bought a couple of cheap ones from our toy distributor. So other companies are buying it as an actual toy. We bought them as decoration.
We stuck them to the wall in a party.
Yes. And then we had them in our storefront window. And after a month or two, they were melting. Like it was disgusting.
From the sunlight coming through the window.
Just from the heat and the sunlight. Like it was really disgusting. And it was like a perfect example of like why you don't buy cheap sex toys. And when I say cheap, I don't even mean like price point. Like, yes, the higher price point usually means that it's going to be body safe and a better material. But like we said, we have $30 toys that are completely body safe and aren't going to do that at all.
And I'm sure somebody out there is selling an $80 dildo that is made of that horrible jelly silicone.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, just be aware of the ingredients of what you're buying.
Yeah.
It's probably on Amazon.
Yeah. This is not to scare you away of buying sex toys, but I would say like anyone, including us online, like if you look into like product descriptions, just make sure that it says like medical grade, body safe, ABS plastic. Those are the main things to look for. And if it seems like a sketchy website that still says body safe, look at another website to make sure that that is like backed up somewhere, because people can say that all the time with impunity. So do a little research. It is like worth it to do a bit of research, but that's also why we exist, and you can come talk to us.
Yes, because all of your stuff on your website, you don't even have to do the research. You can just log on and know that everything is safe and really good quality.
Yeah.
For people who are maybe feeling a little bit lonely and a little bit, horny, lonely and horny, what do you have any suggestions for them?
Masturbate more.
Yeah, many. Yeah.
It can be lots. It can cover lots of ground. This is not toy specific, although a toy recommendation would also be great.
I think, like starting at masturbate. So figure out how you want to masturbate. If that just means you want to use your hands and you want to buy a bottle of lube, then go for it. That's old fashioned and it works, and that's awesome. Or if you are like, we made a post yesterday about, if you are like lonely and you want to get penetrated, we have thrusters, we have lots of dildos, many of which you can stick to your shower wall.
I'll show you this. It's still on my wall.
Oh yeah,
photo shoot.
It's actually still in the bathroom on the wall, so you can take a little experiment.
I'll just bring them out.
My favorite thing about that post was that it talked about how you hung a wreath from them at Christmas time.
We
Yes,
sure
they're-
did.
The suction on these is quite sturdy.
Yes, you can kind of see. Very sturdy.
You can stick it to the floor.
Yeah.
The dog really wants to eat it right now.
The dog. Wait for him.
The dog thinks it's a dog type. Go away.
Sorry.
Or thrusters, or we have the Fun Factory pulsators, which basically use the same technology as a shake weight. So it's two opposing magnets that bounce off of each other. So when you hold it in your hand, like it looks like you're going like that. And you can prop that on a pillow. Some of those can be used anally and some of them can't. But any dildo that you could stick to the wall could be used vaginally or anally, depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah, Krystyna, especially for your clients, this is a great one because it is like, you can see like it's very petite, and it's not like, it's definitely smaller than your average bio penis, and it has like a little like G-spot or prostate stimulator, but like this part is really thin. Like you can see like, there's room around with my pinky and my thumb. So like, it's a really good start way for vaginismus or post-op, or really a lot of the pelvic floor issues. It's a great, like super soft body safe silicone. And these are only like $38. So they're not going to break your bank either.
That's awesome. And they come in not just pink, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, actually the Avant, so these are the ones I posted about yesterday, but we have a whole line of them. They're the Avant brand, and they come in like, there's some that are small like this. We have some that are quite large, depending on what you're into. They can all stick to glass or metal surfaces. They can be used in harnesses, and they all come in like these really beautiful color ranges. This is the Pride collection. So this is the Pride flag and the trans flag, but they come in a whole bunch of other colors that are really pretty and unique, and like definitely different than anything else we've seen.
How logistically would you use that? Why would you want to put it on a metal surface?
Because you could hands-free penetration when you're home alone is basically. So if you want to stick it to, any surface in your house, they're stuck to our countertop right now. They were stuck to our shower wall. You could stick them to your refrigerator, like you're home alone, go crazy.
So do you back up to it, sit on it? Like logistically, what does that look like?
If it's on the floor, you can sit on it. We were joking about it being a really good lower body workout yesterday because it's kind of like doing a squat on top of it. Or yeah, back up onto it, kind of whatever you want. If you're, like I said, if you're alone in your house or if you have open-minded roommates, I guess, you can really do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, like, easy way to kind of play out a fantasy too. Like if you've always had like a fantasy about like some kitchen sex or something, but you're a little bit nervous to ask for it if you're not partnered right now, then it's a great way to kind of like, you know, watch some porn or like listen to some like sexy stories and like play out the fantasy yourself. Throw on a sexy story and like act out your kitchen role play fantasy by yourself, like with a toy like this, and have a little fun with it and get more confident in knowing what to ask for with a partner.
I love that so much. I think that is probably one of the best kind of self-intimacy tips I've ever heard. Yeah, that was actually really wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Do y'all have any other tips that you think that just the general populace should know, like silicone lube for anal sex or anything else that you just really, really want people to know?
I think I have one just as, you know, for folks that either have gone through in kind of like trauma or pelvic pain or just like loss of libido from whatever reason. I tend to say like, try to seduce yourself. Like this was like something I learned from like a sex therapist, like that did a talk, like a seminar that we went to, and it really stuck with me. And it was just like, if you have a low libido or you're just trying to learn more about your own pleasure, like give yourself masturbation assignments, like hold yourself to doing it like more than, you know, be like 3 to 5 times a week. And if you don't hit 5, fine, but like make sure you hit 3. And the more you masturbate and the more you figure out what you like and what does like get you aroused, the more often you're going to want to do it, the more often like you are going to get aroused, most likely, depending on your situation, of course. But yeah, I think that one really stuck with me. And the sex therapist also said, she was like, listen, like you don't have to like go in there trying to get off. Like if you have a hard time getting your head around orgasm and reaching orgasm, that doesn't have to be the goal. Like don't make orgasm the goal necessarily. Like seduce yourself. She was like, put like, you know, like some strawberries by your bedside, some chocolate, whatever makes you feel comfortable and sexy and cozy. And like, just take yourself on like a sensation ride for 20 minutes and don't let yourself orgasm. And she's like, do not like take it completely off the table. Like just, and a lot of times having that goal removed entirely makes people easier to achieve it and makes it more appealing to them because it's not like an end all be all. It's not the goal that you have to reach. It's just nice if you do.
And I think the same thing can go for partner sex
Totally.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you have a hard time having an orgasm with your partner or have a hard time getting turned on, then kind of taking the pressure off of the table for both of you and just like setting aside 2 hours to just play around can go a long way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me. I think all of that, there was so much more that I hadn't even thought about, which is super helpful. And there are going to be so many Instagram posts about it. And where can people find you and what is your website and all that?
So our website is awakeningboutique.com. And there is a button on our website that you can find our store. We have actually just built our store in like the last 12 days. So we are adding new stuff to it all the time. So feel free to email us or DM us on Instagram. Our Instagram is @awakeningboutique. If you have questions, or it's very possible that you are looking for something that we haven't put on the website yet, or you just want a product recommendation or whatever, we're very responsive via Instagram DM and via email.
And phones too.
And phones,
yeah. Really whatever. Yeah, we have a website form on the website.
We have got nothing but time right now.
Yeah.
So
Hit us.
Yeah, I also heard rumors about like adult coloring books. Is that true?
Oh yeah.
we have a lot of sex toys and a lot of lubes, and then we also have so many other things that are not necessarily even like adult novelty. We have tons of games like the Naughty Truth or Dare one. We have a lot of books. We have a ton of coloring books. We have Mad Lib books. We have T-shirts, and we have cards that you can send your friends. We're like we're more than sex toys.
Come for
Amazing.
orgasms, stay for the novelties.
Yes.
Yeah. Come for incontinence, stay for better orgasms, and full circle.
Well, and we're about to
All
put
right.
like kits, the care package kits that you can send to yourself or to your friends that maybe are like going through a quarantine breakup or something. So
I love that. Care package, quarantine care package.
we're here for it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Krystyna.
Bye.